Hey everyone, I'm here today again with Brogan and we're going to do tea and strategy, except that my cup is finished. I actually had coffee today.
And mine's actually coffee.
Because it's one of those days. And today we're going to talk about how to create an Instagram feed your people will love, and we're going to give our own take on that. But do you want to just intro yourself a bit, Brogan? Because most people who are watching this on my platforms know me a little bit. So what's your spiel?
My spiel? Yeah. Okay. So I'm Brogan and I'm a content strategist for determined, heart-centered and creative entrepreneurs. So basically it means that I help them get their message out of their head and to their people. So whether that's through their blog or social media, my job is really to help them kind of pull all those communication pieces together and help them to reach the people who they need to reach.
Yeah, I love your work so much. I was just thinking we could be enemies, but I just love it that we jam. Like, it's just so nice to have that
collaboration is way better.
Yeah, because if I tried to just do this on my own, I mean, I do videos on my own, but it just brings such a richness, and what you can, what people who might be watching this that are interested in me are totally going to benefit from your take on it and what comes from our alchemy as well. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm super excited because last time we did tea and strategy, we talked about Instagram because stories had just come out. And so that was a great topic. And then we realized we should talk about Instagram some more. And Brogan had the idea to talk about how to create a feed that your people will love. And I think that's a great topic because people can get over-focused on what hashtags or some people don't even sort out their bio. Like, there are a lot of other issues that you can focus on, but really if your feed is not gorgeous and if it's not really appealing to your people, they're not going to follow you. They're going to stalk you out, look at your last 9 posts and go, ew, and not follow you.
And that's not what we want.
So do you want to hit us first with a tip, or we can go tip for tip? Or we'll just
tip. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so the approach that I kind of like to take for like my Instagram feed is something that I learned from Hillary Rushford, and it's looking at your feed as the magazine for your business.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that like a lot of people kind of complain about Instagram. It's, it only rewards things that are pretty, or, everything always has to look so flashy and so, a bit like fake. And it's like, in one sense, okay, maybe yes, maybe in some instances it has been taken too far, but on the, from the other point of view, it's that whole culture of Instagram. Like, any social media platform has a different culture. The culture of Instagram is that it does like things that are pretty. It does like, a beautiful flat lay. It does like peonies. Like, it does like do really well on Instagram. And that's just, it's the culture of the platform. And so by looking at your feed as a magazine, you can kind of take 2 approaches to that. If you're a photographer and you just really like, taking your own photos and editing photos, then it's the perfect fit for you because, you can then kind of take on that, photographer role as your magazine. The other kind of option is like the one that I kind of take because I'm not super big into photography myself. It's something that I'm kind of learning as I go, but not kind of at that, photography level standard yet. Is, you can take the approach of being like the editor or the curator of the magazine. So this is where, yes, you're sharing some of your own images, but you're also curating images from, across Instagram, across, stock photos, anything like that, and just bringing it together into this kind of cohesive whole. And I really like that approach because it takes the pressure off of you of, kind of always having to have, trying to take, perfect photos all of the time.
Absolutely.
And there is a lot of fun in trying to curate, a really nice feed from multiple sources. And so, I really like taking that kind of editor approach to a magazine.
Yeah. And I think on most platforms, say Facebook, there's a degree of the content that's my content purely, but there is also a lot of shouting out to other people whose businesses I love, or highlighting a past client and their amazing work, or finding resources that my people need and sharing them with my peeps. So I think it's, I love curating a feed, and I have a similar approach, but it's interesting that you've used the word magazine, which I love. Mine always feels, because I'm so personal, like with my feed. I feel like it's my creation and it's like an artwork. And when I look at the feed overall, that there's a certain tone and cohesiveness of color, or there's just some kind of feeling. Like I've been trying to pin down my brand with my husband. I'm like, come on, the Instagram feed could help us because these are things I love. He's like, yeah, there's a certain something that's really you that's the same in all of them. But it's very hard to articulate that with me. And I guess that is an opportunity you have with your Instagram feed, is even if if you find an image in someone else's Instagram that you just love and it just wakes something up inside you, I think it is worth sharing that, and sharing through the caption, sharing the thing that got triggered in you and the thing that's sparking you up. And that is what I love about Instagram, that if you can capture a collection of images that really communicate you to your people, and then that resonates with them, then that's that beautiful drawing your clients to you without having to be kind of overly cerebral. I mean, I love strategy and I love planning things out, but for me there's that soul connection place that's all about feeling, and it's not so cognitive for me. So yeah, I would say just use your feelings to guide you. And I mean, that's how I curate. Well, not curate, but when I choose to follow someone and I go over and I look at their feed, it needs to be immediate. I need to feel an immediate, oh yeah, I want that in my feed. Like if there's more than a third of that person's posts that make me feel kind of, I'm not going to follow them. And so I always use that as a guide for how I set my feed up. But like, I want people to come and look at it and go, oh yeah, that's what I want to feel in my day. Because I think we are driven by that as humans.
Yeah. And I think like one of the maybe concerns that, you know, people have with curation, especially if you kind of already are a photographer, you know, there is kind of a little bit of, oh, you know, someone's used my photo without asking me, or someone's used my photo to, and then in the caption, they're like promoting their opt-in, or they're promoting a webinar or some other program. I think there is this kind of fine line of how you use someone else's image. You know, it's the same with like sharing anyone's content on any social media platform. I think, you know, you always give credit where credit is due. Yeah. And I've kind of much more kind of recently, as I've realized, you know, well, maybe I shouldn't be using, you know, someone else's photo if I'm talking about like my stuff, if I'm trying to promote my own stuff. So I then just, you know, when I plan out, because I plan out my Instagram feed, you know, on a Monday morning for the whole week. And so I just look at, okay, like I know on this particular day I'm sharing an opt-in. So it means that the photo that I'm sharing with that either has to be my photo or it's a stock photo that I'm allowed to use for commercial use. So I'm still, you know, I'm still curating stuff, but I'm making sure that, you know, it's still kind of building that community spirit in that sense. Like you're not putting anyone out of joint because you're using their beautiful photo to promote your webinar, which they have absolutely no affiliation with. So it's just kind of, you know, taking a step back and kind of thinking about things in terms of that, you know, that kind of community kind of spirit, and also, you know, just being nice. Like our mums always told us, like treat other people how you want to be treated.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it's good to clarify, like curating a feed, every single post that I use someone else's images, I absolutely tag them. And I haven't had anyone upset with me because, one person was upset because I'd cropped out her logo, but I gave credit in the image. So like I hear what she's saying, and that's okay. Well, maybe it was a bit cheeky. Now I feel a bit guilty about it. But I mean, my intention is always about sharing and expanding people's reach. And I feel like if we are giving credit, that is helping other people. I know if you are a visual artist, say if you create artworks or photography, or you're a something like an art therapist, you know, in your practice, you are creating a lot of media already. So for you, you would definitely let your feed just be your work and a platform for you to showcase your work. Whereas for a marketer, I mean, there is a degree of work I do that is visually oriented. Like I do some graphic design stuff, and I also need to understand what looks good. But I did go through a phase where I was making Canva images for my feed. And I think a lot of my clients as well have had this struggle where to sit down and try to plug out 7 images where you get a picture or you create something in Canva and then churning them out once a week can get quite taxing. So it definitely makes the feed creation easier. So that's one way you can make your feed much more easily, is deciding, okay, what proportion do I want? Like maybe I want a third curation, a third quote, images that I just put some text over my brand colors, and then 1/3 actual images of me and my life. Or where else are you going to give value? Like I love using the app later and then working from my desktop and actually giving a bunch of value through my captioning. And sometimes that's education, and sometimes that's just me being opinionated and ranty and feeling like, oh yeah, I can show my nutty self here. Because either people aren't going to read the caption and then they're safe, or they're going to read it and it's actually going to appeal to them. So that's a place where I be a bit risky and give a bit of value. And I do get a lot of engagement through that with people. And sometimes it's robots just with the generic emoji. But sometimes people do connect. And I think a great way to encourage that engagement is to ask a question of the audience and kind of prompt them to engage. Because if I read a caption and it's just someone's story, I'll be like, cool. And if I feel driven, I might comment. But if you actually go that next level with your content and say to people, what do you think about blah, 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 or comment below blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you just have to spell it out to people because they're just in scroll mode. And if you don't say to them, comment below, they're not going to. So to help get great engagement, which will mean that people love your feed more and engage with your feed more, you need to just be a bit directive, be a bit bossy, and just tell them what the heck to do.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's this kind of funny thing. And a lot of like, you know, human psychology and all of that stuff has gone into, you know, numerous studies into this kind of thing. But it's like we get on the internet and it's like we need people to tell us what to do. Like for some, like in our day-to-day life, we're fine. You know, we can like work out what we need to do ourselves. As soon as we get on the internet, it's like we actually physically need people to tell us, click here to read more.
Interesting.
Like, and it's not like doing it in a kind of derogatory way or treating people like they're idiots or whatever, but it's kind of, you know, it's like taking your people by the hand and showing them exactly what the next step is, and just leading them through the process and saying, you know, and like, you know, for the comments in Instagram, I think that, you know, that it's such a powerful opportunity to add so much value. And, you know, like, yes, like you said, like not everyone who likes your photo is going, or even who comments, is actually going to read your caption, but it's still there for, you know, those kind of the dream clients or the people who you are really meant to reach and serve. And I think, you know, often we can kind of forget about that aspect of it and not kind of put as much like value or as much, you know, personal story as we could do. And then always including a call to action is so important. And I think sometimes people do get a little bit scared about calls to action. I think a lot of, you know, even just some people that I've been speaking to this week, there's kind of this, especially amongst like heart-centered business owners, there's kind of this perception that your call to action equals you're asking for a sale or you're asking someone to join your list. And it's like, it can be, but it doesn't have to be that every single time. Like it can be literally as simple as what you said, in that, you know, comment below with, you know, answering this question, I'd love to hear from you. Like it can be as simple as that. It's just encouraging, you know, conversation, encouraging engagement. It doesn't have to be this, click here to go buy my product, or, you know, click here to join.
Well, I definitely get in veggie brain mode. If it's late and I'm on Instagram, I'm just like this, I'm in bed and I'm just on scroll mode, I forget that I might want to comment. So, and I have found that when I have a post where I say, comment or what do you think, or comment below, that it magically happens. And then I look back analytically and go, oh, which ones did well? And then I look at what I wrote and I think, well, hello, of course people commented because you told them to.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah. And I think it's making the question as easy to answer as possible. It's like, you're not asking people like, you know, what is your biggest life goal? Or like something that's like, they've actually physically got to sit there for 5 minutes and go, okay, what is my biggest life goal? Like, how can I say this? Like, it needs to be something that they don't have to put as much thought into. They can kind of just quickly do it there, especially if they are just scrolling. You know, they're not going to want to spend, you know, 5-10 minutes tapping out a response. You know, it just needs to be something that they can quickly answer. And yeah, don't make it too complicated. No. Again, like all things in communication and marketing, don't make it too complicated.
No. We could almost wrap it up. What do you think? Should we be that succinct?
I think we can.
Oh,
yeah, let's do it.
So thanks everyone for watching. If you want more videos like this, you can subscribe if you're on YouTube, or like this video, or comment or anything, and follow Michaela. Everyone calls me Berta now. I'm starting to do it.
Yes.
You can follow Brogan and I on social media and keep up to date with what we're up to. And we'll see you next time.
See you guys.